So I made a video about the Game Awards and my reaction to it, and nominees honestly weren't bad. I was just kind of like making a huge goof here and there. I mean, truth be told, it was kind of like you're not always going to have like big winners, and I think that's just big understanding. But I, it's kind of like when the hype started to die down, though. I started to realize people are becoming right about the Game Awards, how it's just corporate. It doesn't feel like it's really about video games anymore and like the high achievement of them. It just kind of feels like, you know, advertisements and just overall just a lack of care. It just feels like people watch, the Game Awards for mainly the world premieres, which is like, yeah, that's cool and all, but the reason why I watch the Game Awards and why I always had since this very start of it was because video games are something that I'm very passionate about. I mean, you can tell right now I'm playing Titanfall 2 here, but the thing is, video games were just amazing with storytelling, and a lot of games that I played had such excellent story that like I grew up on, and it made me become a writer. Like writing fanfics, yeah, that's pretty average, pretty average writing, and then now I'm starting to like get more into like making stories and just wanting to release it soon. I mean, hopefully I can, fingers crossed, but being serious, I do have a lot of games that I've played that were just outstanding in story. Like BioShock 1 was a game that basically makes me cry every time I get the good ending. No meme. Hotline Miami 1 and 2, excellent storytelling with great gameplay. The original Modern Warfare trilogy campaign, like solid, pure solid gold. Same with Black Ops 1 and 2. World at War I have not played, but I have heard it was really good at storytelling, so yeah, I'll give that a pretty solid like thumbs up as well. And there's just plenty of others that I have played that just oh, it was so good. Like I recently got into Sleeping Dogs as well. It's like really excellent story and character development. Like just everything about it. There's just so many games that I have played throughout my years that just really had such amazing story and characters, regardless if it was short or long and a big exploration. And that's what hurts me about this because the Game Awards is supposed to be like this high achievement. This is where it's like video games aren't just a hobby, they are an art that I personally enjoy watching and seeing in the Game Awards, whether they are a nominee or a winner. I'm proud of the people that worked on this. Through the horrible, harsh conditions of their work environment, to those that had passion and were trying to basically get up on top and be like the big dogs, you know? Like, I like that. But the Game Awards recently just feels so scummy. Like it just feels like it's not really supporting games anymore. It feels like it's just there for viewership reasons. And of course, world premiere is the reason for why this viewership happens because anything could happen. Like anything could happen at the Game Awards. Like I think it was last year or the year, but I think it was last year or something like that, where me and a friend of mine reacted to Alan Wake 2 being announced. It could have been like 2021. I think it was. It was just insane. Like we went off. But in all seriousness though, there is just a huge problem. And that huge problem is, well, this year's nominees. I feel like this was just more of the judges wanting to cash in a check before their bank closes. Like it kind of feels like that type of vibe where it feels like there's no passion or care put into it. It's just a lack of research and just a lack of like passion for like what they're doing. Like for example, why is Cyberpunk its best ongoing game? I do not get that at all. Community support, I could say I somewhat understand because the community was very vocal with like how, the game should go, like, oh, what should be added, what's the big issue. But ongoing game felt really just weird, and I don't feel of it as like, oh, this is a big comeback story. Oh, this is like a really good story of a single player game against multiplayer games. It's like, you know, the multiplayer games has up and downs, but the thing is, I mostly got some positive vibes at the time. Fortnite, as of right now, nah, no. But before that, there was some positive and good things with these games. There's always going to be ups and downs, but with Cyberpunk, it's always been like a huge down from the very start of it. And only over time did it slowly grow. And that's it. Nothing really major. It's just more of they're trying to prevent a lawsuit, therefore, that's why they kept the game going. It might be out of passion now, but back then, it was just to, cover themselves from any class action lawsuits that were going to happen, It just, it doesn't feel right, And there's like plenty of other bad choices that they've made, that I just personally don't like. The judges, I mean, because the judges themselves just it feels like they just again they don't care. Another case of example is why is Destiny 2 in best community support even though you guys all fully know that hey, Bungie really doesn't listen to their community, and they pretty much have destroyed the trust in their community because they're no longer playing the game. They're no longer like doing anything with Destiny 2. They're pretty much done with it. Like all the hype that they got, just it's gone. There's no hype for the game anymore. There's just absolutely nothing to do. And yeah, it's like we all know why. It feels still kind of weird that like they're allowing this to happen. It's just, there's other games on there that you could have put as like best community support to replace like Destiny 2. Like Halo Infinite. It had a terrible rocky start, but now it's gotten way better and the Halo community finally feels like they are being listened to. Same thing with Sea of Thieves. Those are pretty much like a lot of great games. Deep Rock Galactic, even. Why not Deep Rock Galactic of all things? Like Among Us. It's like so many games that you could have put on there, but you decided, no, let's do Destiny 2. I mean, you could say maybe also get rid of Cyberpunk in there, but then again, I feel like that's a little bit more understandable than it being on best ongoing. It feels like it does make sense and it's in the right place. Speaking of right places, Dave the Diver. That does not make any sense at all. Okay, I know this is going to sound mean, but I do not think Dave the Diver should be best independent game. Uh, because technically it's not independent. Now, is the game good? Oh, absolutely. The game's fantastic. I feel like it does deserve some awards here and there, but not for best independent game. Especially when the community note on Twitter had revealed that apparently from some article, the head of Nexon, I think that's who they were, basically was saying it may look indie, but in reality, it's not. So it's like, okay, you're telling me that the people that were the judges of this did not even do their research to see if this qualified for this specific award. Uh, Jeff, I'm going to be very blunt and very honest. Do I blame you fully? No, I don't blame you fully. I blame the judges for their, lack of care and how they're just going about this very lazily. However, Jeff, you are the face of the Game Awards. You have a reputation to uphold, and you're letting these judges basically just toss you around and make you go through all this screaming and yelling, something that could have been avoided if they'd done research and actually put thought and care into the nominees. It's like it just feels like they're just there to get a paycheck from you. They don't like you, Jeff. It feels like they don't like you at all. They're only there because they're like, hey, Jeff, I finished up early. Can you give me my paycheck? I need to go before my bank closes. It's like, it's just so like baffling bad, man. It feels like disgusting to just see stuff like that. I just, I don't know. it feels really just broken, you know? And there's like a lot of other issues as well that might be discovered later on. I'm not sure. But the one that I have heard about that pretty much proves that like the judges really don't do the research at all was best esports coach. I cannot pronounce this name, so here's his name right there. Boom. Basically, he wasn't in for this year. That's the problem with him. He was not in this in any major events. He was not really active for this year, but yet he still made it on there, and he pretty much saw this. It was like, hey, can you get rid of that? Because, you know, I don't deserve it because I never even been on there. Can you remove me? And I don't know if to this day he has been removed. So I'm going to check it out. Here is a little notification. Boop. Let's see how that goes. But the thing is like, if it does say, you know, oh, he's still in there, that's not good. Jeff, I don't think he should win this award because it would be pretty embarrassing if he got the award and he gets up and he says, I really don't deserve this, and he gives it to somebody else. It's not a good look in front of the people, the developers, even your sponsors, because you can't really try to twist this as like a, oh man, such a generous, good deed. You know, you can't make that PR stunt when like there's evidence that shows that like he fully did not want to be in there, and there's evidence that shows that like, hey, I was not active for this year. I really did not deserve this reward. It feels like, you know, it feels unfair because it's like, you know, you have all these other coaches that were active this year, but not, you know, not him. You know, it's just the judges are just bringing you down, man. They really are. And I think that's the major issue. It's just nothing more but just, you know, greed on the judges, but like everything about it just it hurts me because it's like there's one other thing that I have to address that people aren't going to talk about, and I understand that completely, but I feel like it is something that is pretty important to say, regardless of these two controversies. Why is it that Hogwarts Legacy and Atomic Heart were not in the Game Awards this year? They both qualify, so why didn't they? And this led me into pretty much understanding they're trying to play it safe because Jeff doesn't want to increase security. And I feel like that's what it is. He doesn't want to have a huge increase of his security, but I still feel like he does. I'm going to be honest, Jeff. I feel like you do. Now, let me explain this real quick. So, Atomic Heart's controversy was that a week or two before it was going to be launched, it was revealed that Mundfish had gotten some funding from the Russian government. This was during the Ukraine Russia conflict that was going on. And pretty much, well, everyone hated it. Everyone did not like it, understandably so. And pretty much that controversy just sadly came and went because while it was a very serious like ordeal, a lot of people just kind of realized it was mainly for funding, and there is like many cases where people had to shake hands with a few demons in order to get what they want. So they kind of just ignored that. But the controversy that never went away, even to this day, is Hogwarts Legacy because of one person. Literally, J.K. Rowling had tainted the whole game, and she was not even involved with it at all. Like, her presence destroyed the great reputation that this game held, because this game was fantastic. Not like Game of the Year fantastic. I would not recommend putting that on Game of the Year, but I would say it did excellent with like having Harry Potter fans get a Harry Potter game that they fully deserved. Like it really did feel like that. But yeah, everything else, it just yeah, it's not Game of the Year. I'm sorry. As much as the game is awesome, it's just not that huge, like, crowning achievement. But that's the thing. Like, you didn't have to put these games on Game of the Year. You could have at least gave them, like, some nominees. Like, for Atomic Heart, they could be nominated for Best Score because the music is really outstanding and stellar. So, here's my big problem. I don't get why you did this. I feel like it's just so bad, especially when it's this sense of unfairness. You see, why do you have Diablo 4 on there when Blizzard is still being controversial as ever, and you even put in Activision Blizzard games in the Game Awards before, even though you knew of what they were doing beforehand? Like, everyone knew what Activision Blizzard was doing. We all know the whole ordeal with them, that they basically have horribly treated their employees like garbage. It was a toxic frat house like atmosphere. There was the Bill Cosby suite. Like, there was just a lot of issues that happened with Activision Blizzard. And it feels pretty unfair that these games of theirs can, like, stand up on their own merits, but Hogwarts Legacy and Atomic Heart couldn't. Isn't that the whole point? That besides the controversies of these games, like developers and publishers and all that, we're supposed to like respect the games as like standing on their own merits. Like that was the thing with The Last of Us Part 2. Like Naughty Dog was a terrible company that treated their employees like garbage, even to the point that they were pretty much hospitalized allegedly. Like just a terrible work environment that did not, just it was awful. Like they did not deserve that many rewards, but pushing that aside, the game did stand up on its own in some way. The story is awful, but the gameplay and graphics were outstanding. That's the thing. Why is it that that game could hold its own merits, but yet Hogwarts Legacy and Atomic Heart couldn't? It feels pretty hypocritical and has this sense of hypocrisy that, like, the Game Award shouldn't have. The game should stand up on its own merit, regardless of the controversy surrounding it. Like, these aren't, like, average nobodies either. Like, Atomic Heart was a game that was, like, 10 years of development hell, I believe. And Hogwarts Legacy was a team that just really was dedicated to making such a great game. And this is like, kind of like the underdog story, because these developers got like treated like garbage by a lot of like companies like Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon, Disney, and now Warner Brothers. It's like it's just they're always getting like the shit end of the stick. I apologize for the language, but yeah, it just feels awful. But here's my biggest concern. I do not want the Game Awards to be this just this world premiere show, because that's what it feels like. Me and my friends are still gonna watch it, and you know, it's kind of sad to say this, but I feel like for my friends, it's more of just like watching the world premieres. Maybe we'll get excited a little bit about like, oh, who's going to be a nominee, winner, who's going to win, all that. But I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of people are just going to be there to watch it for like GTA 6, and that's it, which really depresses me because it's like the Game Awards isn't about GTA 6 and like other world premieres that will happen. It should be games are an art. Games are something that has brought hundreds of thousands of people into a sense of passion. Like, that's what it should be. A passion for story writing, a passion for game design, a passion to make a game that's like based it off of something. Like, like Bomber Cyberpunk. I can't believe that game's not on there either. Has like a killer soundtrack that was composed by the same composer that did Jet Set Radio. Like, come on. It just feels like, it feels like you're just kind of picking favorites left and right here. It feels like you're not really like listening to gamers, because there is like a lot of games that gamers are very open about, but media outlets just don't seem to really put any thought or care into. Like, quite literally, listen to the gaming community. See what they're saying of what is good and what is bad. Not the media outlets that are just now seemingly in it for a paycheck from you, Jeff. It's just, I hate it. But yeah, I do hope that this year's Game Awards is going to be a lot better, and I hope that in the future they will change things up a bit, because I do think it is a great like award show, to help with the gaming community and just make it show that video games aren't just a hobby, but an art form. Uh, yeah. See you guys later.